Hey guys, thank you for joining us. Want to get on here, shoot a quick video about the good news that came out today. So if you followed a couple of our last videos, we've actually touched on CPI. We want to touch on that again. So CPI comes out monthly, and today we have some good news on the numbers. So that's why I want to shoot this video. Hi, I'm Steve.
And I'm Rose Gonzalez with the Gonzalez Real Estate team. Hey, if you're new to our channel, make sure to give a little love to that subscribe button and click on the notification button so you can be the first to know about updates like this and what's going on in the real estate market with real estate, mortgage, and what's going on in Northern California. So, all right, let's get started.
Yeah, so Rose, she hits me up and tells me the good news, and there's some good news today. So Rose, you want to hit on that?
Yeah.
What's the good news? First, can we actually go back and what is CPI again?
Okay, so CPI is the Consumer Price Index, and this is a driver of, how the Fed really take a look at inflation. So it's the cost of people buying goods. So food, gas, all that good stuff. Now there are two, and I'm not going to confuse you guys. There are two numbers. One is the CPI and one is the CPU, which the second one that I had talked about is what the Fed really look at, and that takes out energy and food. Because food is seasonal and energy they don't have control over because, if there's an outage or whatever. So anyways, long story short, the CPI is the amount, is like the percentage of how people are spending money. And
Question.
yeah.
Does housing market affect CPI?
Yes. Yep. So CPI, 39% of the CPI is housing. And like I mentioned in one of our videos, there's a lag in getting the numbers for housing into the actual CPI percentages. So the experts are predicting that the January numbers are going to show a lot more of the deceleration in prices right now. So the February numbers should show a drop off on inflation.
Awesome. So what came out today?
So today for the November number came out 0.1%.
What does that mean?
So inflation, so last month the CPI number was 0.4. So the inflation rate was 7.7%, and then today was 0.1. And so inflation dropped down to 7.1%, which is a good thing. That's actually what the Fed is trying to do, is to decrease inflation. So I think it's been 3 or 4 months that the CPI numbers have been pretty low. So that's good. And then so what they do is year over year. So right now we're looking at November numbers. So from October to November, you add up all the CPI numbers, and that's what's going to give you the inflation rate.
And a year ago, it was at its highest, right?
Yes.
But as the months keep going, those
And as
a year ago will drop off, and that'll even accelerate how good the CPI number is going to be, which should correlate with how inflation is coming down. And that's the trend we're seeing right now, correct?
Yep.
Because when inflation was at its highest, the Fed stepped in to raise interest rates to combat inflation.
Right.
And that's when we've heard so much talks of recession, housing market. I mean, just a few months ago, the world was in a scary place. I mean, it kind of seems like it always is.
What I think is happening is that people didn't understand what was happening. I mean, even for us alone, before we understood this whole inflation and Fed's increasing rates, we were kind of like, what's happening? Are they,
I remember going to Home Depot to buy a sheet of plywood, and it almost doubled in price.
Yeah.
Obviously gas. I mean, Home Depot is a great example because I actually did a lot of my backyard work.
Oh, everything.
Everything went up. Going to Costco, everything went up. Housing shot up, right? You guys know this. We know that. Yeah. That's just what's going to happen. You can't really look forward. You could kind of predict, but when you're seeing inflation so high and hearing so much negative news, you can't help but think the worst, right?
And that's why we put this channel together, is to explain some of the gaps between what we're hearing on the news versus the data that we have, because it's when people hear the Fed increasing rate, they automatically assume that mortgage rates are going to go up that same amount, and it's not. So the Fed do not drive mortgage rates. Inflation does. So as inflation is going down, mortgage rates are going to trend down as well.
So when we were at our highest, Fed stepped in, and during that time, we saw interest rates really skyrocket. That was a big fear-based moment. Now we're starting to see inflation come down, CPI come down, and interest rates have come down. Right?
Yeah.
They were at the highest in the low 7s. And what are they today? Approximately.
It depends on, obviously, qualification, but I did see something that said it was ranging between 5.875 to 6.25, depending on different scenarios, obviously. So that's a really good news. Another thing that we are tracking is a 10-year Treasury yield, and the 10-year Treasury usually, the mortgage rates usually follow that trend. And the December numbers, the 10-year Treasury yield dropped to 3.61% in December. And usually right now, currently, maybe like in the last month, there's like what they call a yield, which is a difference between the 10-year Treasury and interest rates. Right now, it's like at 300 basis points, which is higher than normal. Normal is about 1.75 basis points to about 200 basis points. So if the current Treasury is at 3.61, and if it goes up 2 basis points, then you're looking at 5.61% interest rates. So right now the yield between the two numbers are on the high end because of what's going on, uncertainty and inflation and everything. But once that goes back to normal levels, we're going to look at the normal 175 to 200 basis points. So that's why we're saying rates are going to go back into the 5% sometime next year, even
maybe we
and I've even heard of 4.5% too. So I don't want to share too much of that because I don't know, but I think that right now is a great time to really get into the market before. I mean, imagine what's going to happen if rates go back to 4.5%, 5%.
Well, let me ask you this. If you think rates are going to continue to come down, we see inflation coming down, you're predicting it to come down, why don't I just wait to buy when the rates get into the lower 5s?
Well, so right now, and again, we've said this in other videos, but it's the market is in a place where you can get great deals right now. So if you can get seller credits or a discount on a house right now, why wouldn't you buy it and then refinance next year when rates go back down? So you have, I believe lenders require 6 months before you can refinance, but that's just around the corner. So when the rates drop down, a whole ton of buyers are going to get back into the market. And guess what's going to happen? There's going to be multiple offers again. I mean, it's definitely not going to be as crazy as when interest rates were in the 3%, because, there's still that bracket of people who could afford in that interest rate with payments and stuff. But 4.5%, 5%, I think people are going to jump back in and start buying. So then you're going to have more competition versus now when people are sitting there waiting about what's going on. They're not watching our channel, but they're watching the news, and it's still, kind of uncertain when the media only says certain things. So I think it's really important to get ahead of the game and get a game plan of, getting ready to make that move, because real estate is, a really big asset for a lot of people.
So we're in the Rockland, Roseville, Sacramento area, and probably 3 to 4 times a week we're going to new builds. And we've been going to these new builds for over a year, and things have changed since a year ago.
Yeah, they were wait lists for days.
And now they're calling us. Why? They're starting to build their inventory. And
well, like an example, there's a community in Whitney Ranch called The Prominence, and last year they were sold out with a waiting list, and we just went and visited them yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and they had what, like 8 or so sitting on the market now.
And because of that, they're giving some great incentives. I mean, every builder's different, but let me give you an example of what we're seeing. We're seeing anywhere from $9,000 to $30,000 lender incentives. We're also seeing on the ready-built homes that are pretty much move-in ready, 30-day escrow close, up to some even more than $100,000 worth of price drop. So you're going to get a brand new house. You could also possibly get lender credit to put towards your closing costs or to lower your interest rate, so you get a lower payment, and you're getting about $100,000 off.
Yeah.
So when I ask you, is it a good time to buy or should I wait? I know we are getting in position ourselves to buy. We see so many good deals out there that we're getting ready right now. We're coming up with a game plan ourselves because there's so many deals out there, and you just can't time the market, right, Rose?
Right.
I mean, if you timed it this long, I say we're kind of in a good position, because if rates start coming down, and they start getting more buyers to start pulling away those incentives, people are going to start flying back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely never a good time to time it, but honestly, like in this silver lining that we are in now, when you know the data and the information, definitely begin looking into the option of getting into the market.
So guys, we just want to shoot this quick video. There's good news out there. Listen, don't believe all the headlines. Look a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Do we have a crystal ball? Absolutely not. But what we're seeing and what we've heard from experts is starting to happen. So I don't know about you guys, but we are going today to look at new builds to see what deals are out there. We are serious about this. We feel it's a great time for real estate. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to text us, call us, send us an email, and
all right.
If you haven't subscribed, yeah, there you go.
Oh, don't tell me. I know.
I was messing. So yesterday I was trying to close a video and I was messing up over and over and over again. And Rose is like, just say something. Hit the subscribe button. So now I'm hitting her up.
All right. So I guess this is the time. If you're new to our channel and you haven't done so already, make sure to give a little love to that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye.